Hey, good evening, everybody. Figured we'd get in here for just a little bit. Oh, I know it's the 4th of July, but hey, figured we'd get in here, like I said, and do a little bit of work. Let's see. All right. Go. So, I had to send a quick message. I told him I'd do it, so figured I'd let Fat Cat know. I know he pops in there from time to time, same as I do. You know, we all try to support each other, and pop in and visit with one another and what have you. So, anyhow, it has been a long, grueling week. That's the reason why we've not been in here hardly at all here the last week or so. Been trying to finish up quick, small little projects. It's been sitting around before I get back onto this. So that's kind of where we're at today is we're going to go ahead and start wiring up some of our power supplies. I've already got all the wiring cut. So that really helps out a tremendous amount when it comes to getting a project this size done. So I'll get some of the script back. I've been listening to some of the skip. It's been absolutely horrendous trying to get in there and talk. So I've not even attempted it. It's just insane as far as what I'm hearing on the radio right now. So good evening time to everybody as you're slowly tuning in. Happy 4th of July again. I was actually hoping to be able to get to a project earlier, a little bit earlier as far as this particular year, but maybe I'll get to it this fall. I've got one that I've been trying to get done for some time, and it's just been one of those I just haven't been able to get time to do it. So all right, almost at the end of this here. Go to the other wire. So we got our wires all cut to length, so it makes life a lot easier. I just hadn't had a chance to at least get one end stripped. That way we can go ahead and go to the next phase. The AC on it has been, so far I have seen the high today of 102 here in Indiana, which is not really all that normal, but it has been just brutal overall, absolutely brutal. So who do we have in here with us this afternoon? So I figured we'll get a few people pop in and out throughout the day just because of holiday. Don't be afraid to pop in and say hello. Well, hello, Fat Cat. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, today is kind of the same thing that you were doing, where you had some busy work going on. Um, doing some of the tedious, mind-numbing portions of builds. You know. Hello, cornbread. Ah. Oh, like I said, it's been brutal, guys. I did go to town earlier this afternoon. I would have been a little bit sooner, but sitting there looking on Marketplace on Facebook, and guy had this for sale. The date, let's see here. Is this for the DAC power supply? Yeah, I finished that one, cornbread. I do have another one after the 600 amp coming up. I do have another power supply coming up, but now that's actually one that's going to be for physically sale, and I'll get to that one as well. But anyhow, this was on today's find, if you will. One of the old bullet style heads for a D104, but not only did I come across that, I have no idea if the element's any good or not. I hope it is, just for parts. But I come across all this for a pretty good price. So I was definitely impressed. Have no idea what it was once wired for, because it's one of the old 4-pin males, and I think I want to say that looks like what was on the the Brownings, but I can't remember. It is powered because it's got an adjustment for it, but yeah, like I said, I seen that and I thought, hey, oh, take that, clean it up. If it works, awesome. And if so, I'll have a spare head for sale. This one, like I said, I just got it for parts, but the guy wanted, had it all in one little bunch. So it took an hour drive and picked it up. By the time I got there, it was actually somewhat local because it was about a half hour there, half hour back. So that's the reason why I say an hour. But I thought that was kind of a nice little score. I'm just going to strip the one in, that way I can get everything started and fed and mounted and all that good stuff. So. Yeah, I thought so too on that, Louis. Like I said, it's been a while. It's been a while since I've actually been able to find something that, somebody actually had a realistic price right out of the gate on it. And I was going to try to Jew him down, but I actually didn't have the heart to. Well, that's what I've been using mine for the last year. I wish I could say that I have completely and utterly quit, which I did for about 4 months, and I am probably going to start back on the program again here in the near future. Because I don't like the fact that I have picked it back up. I've got another small little project. Once I get some of this stuff here done, I am going to try to go ahead and make a video tomorrow on the little 4-pill base that I built. It's not a big 4-pill. It's just with the 2290s in it, but I put it in one of the same cases that I use for the 100 amp power supplies. Hello, Slim. I don't know how the skip is up your way, but Jiminy Christmas. On my end, it is a train wreck. I've got it on, but I've got it almost shut off.
A 961. Old Candyman got a copy on you.
It's horrendous. At least at that moment. I'll grab the other set. Then we'll be ready to start doing some wiring. Happy 4th to you as well, Slim. You had 28 on lockdown, huh? Yesterday, I spent my day at work. Supposedly it was going to be 6 hours. 6 turned into 8, 8 turned into 10, 10 turned into 11. Just know it's been absolutely a madhouse. And we're all back up there at the facility that I work for. We're all back up to full production, just as if nothing ever happened. I guess that's a good thing. This means I can pay off more bills a little quicker. I enjoy having a couple months from the little reset everybody did. I was definitely ready to go ahead and start making some money so I could pay for everything that I bought while I was off. I still got about $2,500 yet. It's on a couple of different accounts that I got to get paid off from different things that I bought for the house, so I can go ahead and finish it up. That's 333, 222. Oh, is it 333 or is it a 332? Or is it a 323? Let's empty all this. Apparently I've lost one of my screws. It's okay, let me go get one. Be right back. I'll get those things out of the way. That way I know I don't have to worry about listening to them rattle. A 4-post lift. Ooh, yeah. You definitely are talking $1 or $3. So 222 says he knows me. Well, that's a good possibility. You know, I am on Facebook, YouTube, technically Instagram, even though I don't do anything with Instagram. TikTok. Another one that's easy for me to get to. $142 Brown Mule. Well, good evening time, Alan. Definitely good evening, good evening. Set this up in the background. Which will eventually be the face of the power supply. I've already got the hole cut for the meter, which that was in the very short clip at the beginning. It's a liquid crystal display. I kind of like these whenever I get up to the 600 and 1000 amp power supplies. It's actually very hard to find almost anything that will work, especially in a digital format on that. So happy 4th. Magnetized 4-cylinder. Magnetized 4-cylinder. Oh Lord. I don't know what we're going to do with you, Slim. Well, unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to make a video for it before the customer come over to pick it up. However, I have started, which right now you can't get them because everybody's out, the 2879C series. So, played around with those a little bit. Not unimpressed, but wasn't too impressed either. But I did like the fact that I can knock the snot out of them. Built a 1-pill and a 2-pill with them. And, overall, I mean, I was pleased. they definitely don't tune like anything else. I've had a few people ask me about them, and I just really hadn't took the time to play with any of them. I've had a few people that would like to have an amp built with them, and it's just one of those where I've just not had time to play with them with all the other projects. I ran them up to about 15 volts. I haven't tried pushing them any further than that, but I did run them on 15, and they did do all right. Didn't blow them. I actually drove them with a one pill that I built using essentially the same thing. It's a 2879C series. Now the one pill I was pretty impressed with as far as on the one pill. I'll give it that. I was definitely impressed with that. The two pill wasn't real impressed. Would like to build something a little bit bigger just to kind of see what the overall format is. Now, one of the things that I did buy, still waiting on the modules for it. It'll be coming a little bit later. Find them. Let's see, where are they at? There they are. Okay. I don't know if it'll focus in on that or not. Focus. Anyways, didn't want to focus too well, but I ordered a set of the 2510s, the 2SC 2510s. These are actually supposed to be a 28 volt transistor. I've got a 24 volt power supply coming, so built a 4-pill with the original Toshibas here several years ago, and was pretty impressed with it. So I don't know if I don't know how good the HGs are. I don't know how close they are to that, but oh, you're doing feedbacks. Yeah, you gotta love them. But anyhow, yeah, we're gonna try a pair of those and see what that comes up with. Can I do a step up from 12 volts on what? Well, step up is 24 volts. I figure 24 volts on a 28 volt transistor ought to be close. Transformer. I'm not sure where you're going at. Oh, no, I don't have anything set up like that at all. So like I said, I've got. I mean, I know that some of these modules like this can be modified to where technically you can get 24 volts, but you lose so much amperage. For example, a 40 amp module, if you crank it up to 24 volts, just for an example, you're only going to see about maybe 12 amps because it's really not designed. It's not really designed specifically to run that high voltage. The other side of that too is you're on the brink of destruction for most of these modules, just the way they're made.
Oh my.
So now, since this is going to be a 220 box, I've already got them all flipped, and I've already put my indication on each one of these, just to make sure that there's no oopsies anywhere. I don't know if you guys have caught that in some of my other videos where I talk about as I go back from 110 volts over to 220. It's important to know that you've actually got them all switched in the correct order. So that's the reason why I usually try to go ahead and make sure that there's an indication somewhere on each supply. Just like on each supply, they've got a physical number on here that I've written that tells me what the voltage itself for each module is set at. So again, I've already got that part of it taken care of on all these prior to any of the videos. Yeah, that's a good possibility. I was going to ask you, Fat Cat, if you were live watching me, and if so, I was going to put my phone on. That way I could watch you watch me as I'm watching you. And I don't know which format you use whenever you make up your feedback circuits, which if there's a better method, God, I'd love to learn a better method. I've tried two or three different formats, and just not found anything that's any faster than, one's not really any. That's one of the parts that I dislike the most. The only other thing that I dislike probably more than the feedbacks, even though I have less of them to do, is installing fans. Not that it's hard, just like the feedbacks, it's not hard. It is a pain in the ass sometimes to try to get the screws actually started. I need to actually look on that too, Fat Cat. I need to see where I'm at as far as on 100 ohm resistors and see if I need to order some more. I'm not out here every day doing this in and out shop. Almost every waking moment, I haven't kept up with my inventory as well. I've got what I call my overflow. I'd like to get that a little bit more organized. Is what I'd like to do. Hey, kiddo. Okay. Coming back home tonight? Okay, well, let me know. I love you. Yep, I am doing a live feed on YouTube. Yep. Okay. Yeah, I've seen those. I don't know why, but there's something that I just find uneasy about doing it that way. On a small amp, I don't think it would bother me, but as far as on some of the larger ones, I'm not sure how that would react. I mean, the only one I've ever encountered has been a 2-pill with that. Again, I'm not sure how that really. I know it. I know it works. It's a very unusual method. But it does work. What did I do with that? Well, hello, 3. Good evening time. Yeah, I can see that. I see, Fat Cat, that's all you had to do is talk about him and he pops up. He's like a bad penny. We were picking on you early. Of course, if your friends are picking on you, that means we're leaving somebody else alone. Well, happy birthday, Amy. I didn't realize that yours was on the 4th. Mine's coming up next week. Speaking of birthdays. Well, hopefully everybody's had a great day so far. I don't know what it's been down there in the Carolinas, but today, like I said, it got up to, I know, at least 102, which is unusually hot. Typically we get up into the high 90s, but to break 100, it's not very often here in Indiana. like I've got some friends that not only are in North Carolina, but also in Mississippi. I've also got family there. And I don't know why anybody would want to live where there is 115% humidity and no rain. That is insane. $97. Well, I would have traded you. I don't know if you guys have warm, I mean, granted, I know it gets hot, just like any place else, but because of where you guys are so close to the coast, I don't know if you get a cool breeze or if it's nothing but hot air that comes up off the Gulf. I remember being in Florida one time when I was a little bitty kid, but that's about all I remember of, the deep, deep, deep south to the point where you run out of land. Hot as hell on the East Coast. Jiminy Christmas. I'd have to go back up and see, but where did you say you were from, Alan? Two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, so that marks the halfway point. Yeah, it's Saturday night. You should be taking a bath. Even my cats get a bath. Yes, it is. It's 600 amp. They get pretty crappy with some of that glue. No, I don't think I'm going to do that. I did think about it, but I don't think I'm going to build it that way. I know a step start circuit was not figured into the cost of this, which I don't have one on my 600 amp power supply that I've been running for the last couple of years. It's a little late, email, or Gmail, I should say, letting me know that I'm live. But, well, you know, I kind of knew that when I pushed the button. Kills me with some of the different notifications that they come up with. Yeah, I really put a step start on one that he built here. Oh, geez, it's been several months ago. Yeah, it's only about I think he only did maybe about a second delay, maybe 1.5 seconds, something like that. But basically, it's just enough to go ahead and start preloading the capacitors and stuff on the output side, on the DC side, to kind of bring those up just prior to all the modules coming on at one shot. Black, white, and green, 14 gauge. Okay. Are you looking for Teflon? Is that what you're looking for? Or are you looking for just URL approved wire for AC? This for the AC side. 14 gauge. Wow. Well, it depends on how many modules and what you're trying to do with it. You can do 14 gauge. Believe it or not, Early, what I'm using is 16 gauge. The reason why I'm using 16 versus 14, number one, I'm running 220 instead of 110 volts. Two, each module typically is not going to draw more than about 6 amps prior to either going into meltdown or blowing the internal fuses. So the 16 gauge is more than adequate at 220 to handle the current. Yeah, just run all red wires. Well, technically you could, but the 16 is a lot easier to come across as far as on specific colors. I may have a link if you'll remind me. I may still have the link. Now, the stuff that I'm using right now, as far as the orange and brown, I actually had made a mistake about 3 years ago. Let's see, well, no, actually about 4 years ago. And I bought this under the assumption that this was an entire roll of Teflon, because it is silver, it is silver tin copper. It is a very, very, very high-end wire, but it wasn't Teflon, like I had hoped. So, I went back, and it was one of those deals that I seen on eBay, and I thought, ooh, it's too good to be true. And I snagged it because I seen where it had a mil spec rating. So I thought, great, this would be awesome, So I bought a 500-foot roll of it. Well, once I got it, I didn't realize, I didn't realize that what I had ordered was not what I ordered was not what it actually was described. I mean, he was very specific, and it was actually what he stated that it was. So I didn't have the heart to try to send it back. And I thought, well, I'll use it up somewhere. So that's the reason why I've been using this orange on my AC side, is because I've got a 500-foot roll of it. So I went back, and I found another company that I can order primary wire. I think they do have 14 as well, but I ordered a brown to go with that. The only reason why I went with brown versus black was mainly because of the fact that I have got so much black Teflon. Now, granted, I know once I grab a hold of it, I'll know that it's not Teflon, but that way I don't confuse the two by any stretch or have any possible way that I could make such a mistake. So that's the reason why I went with, I went with a dark color as far as brown, as far as for my AC wires. I've been using this for the last several months. The one roll of wire I've had for a very, very long time, and I've just now got around to start using it. Especially at the cost of Teflon wire, which is what I was using for the longest time on the AC inputs, which again was overkill, but a long time ago I got a really good deal on some. I thought, hey, this is going to be a fairly regular thing. No. Not saying that this is that much cheaper, but it's more readily available for number one, and number two, it's not bad priced. But it is about 8 or 9 cents a foot, per foot. It's about 8 or 9 cents cheaper than running the Teflon. So over the course of, in this case, 16 modules, 8 cents a foot adds up fairly quick. Then you multiply that times the number of power supplies that you do, whether it be in a amplifier or on a power supply. In a matter of 30 days, it could be about $100. Anywhere from $100 to $125 very easily. And then, you multiply that times, 12 months a year. Again, just an incredible amount of overspending for wire. And there for a while, I was having a hard time finding anything. No, actually, it's not stiff at all. Give me just a second. I'll show you. The last of it. All right. It still has a little bit of spring to it, but actually it's very, very soft and flexible. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, Fat Cat, I think I will go ahead and show that, because I know that is kind of also derived to one individual. And we aren't talking about me. But no, 3, it's very, very flexible, easy to run. But I did finally, I've gotten a little bit of that one wire that you and I were talking about, Fat Cat, but I did actually go ahead and order me 2 big rolls of Stinger wire. I've been wanting some of that for a long time because I really do like using that, especially on large runs like this. On the short runs, the other stuff seems to be perfectly fine, but on something like this, I really like using just a little bit better grade wire. But as both of you guys know, wire is one of the most expensive, one of the largest expenses that we have in building, next to the cases. Whenever you price it, whenever you price it down to what it actually is and everything, like I said, it's actually very difficult to find exactly the right type of wire, and above all, find it for a reasonable price. Well, the stuff that I bought on the Stinger wire, it's I think it was $170, but I got a 250-foot roll, so I ordered 2. I ordered one black, one red. It's not going to be long, and I'm going to have to reorder the 8 gauge also that I've got, which that price is going to go way up. And if I would have had any clue 10 or 12 years ago that wire was going to go absurd like this, as far as on my DC wiring, I would have ordered a crap ton of it, because back then, shoot, I could buy a 250-foot roll for like $60 for the good stuff. And I think it was $100 for 250. I think it was $100 for a 250-foot roll of the 4 gauge. Yeah. Well, right around Christmas time, and I hadn't even got anything on the books at that time, as far as, because I was just finishing things up, but just to replenish different things that was here in the shop. Speaking of buy, I had, right after Christmas, I had spent over $2,000 for, example, wire capacitors. Lord, I'm trying to think what else. really didn't buy any cases. I mean, I bought a couple, but I didn't really buy any major cases at that point. But a lot of it was wire. Yeah, I wound up buying Fat Cat. I wound up buying, I figured it all up, just in silver Teflon wire. I bought 16 gauge and 18 gauge. Okay, I had bought a total of 15,000 feet of Teflon wire for amps. Just in those two sizes. Yeah, but you finally took part of my advice there early. You know, here about a year ago, you know, although it kind of hurt, you know, and you bought extra each time you sit there and went to actually make something. You know, I know there were several months that, you know, you really didn't actually put a single dollar really in your pocket, because, you know, it all went out for, you know, capacitors, extra transformers, an extra case here, an extra case there on the small ones, stuff like that. And, you know, you finally got enough ahead that it doesn't kill you every time that you place an order now. Which, I mean, shipping for parts, that's I think what kills most of us. You know, unless you're able to buy in just mass quantities like Fat Cat does. I mean, that's what really kills us as far as on our profit, is not being able to buy in large bulk quantities. Yeah, well, and that's another thing too that I was actually going to go ahead and try to order. I want to get, I've got 2 more bills I want to get paid off. So probably September, because once I get those paid off, I'll be able to start banking some money. But that's what I'm actually planning on doing, is buying anywhere from 100 to 150 transistors at a time, and that way hopefully I can get a little bit better price break, and I don't have to worry about buying transistors every time I turn around because of the shipping cost. Shipping is just brutal. I mean, you don't realize just how much money you lose until you start figuring out, just on shipping costs. Give me a second, guys. I'll be right back. Just need to grab something here. Whew. All right, we're back. Tell you what, the other thing too is, with all this humidity and everything and the heat, I don't know what all has changed, but It has been insane on my sinuses, guys. Morning, sunshine.
Is it now? How is that?
Mm-hmm. That was today's find on Marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, last night.
It is all of them.
Yep, that is the last. Yeah, those aren't really all that hard to build early. I don't know how that would work down there on the coastline. I know how well it works out west in Arizona as far as the swamp cooler. Even here in Indiana, I'm not sure how well that would actually, or how effective that would be here because of our humidity. I know as far as with incredibly dry climates, I know that it works very, very well. What's a swamp cooler? A swamp cooler is really it's nothing more than a large fan with a water hose that's hooked to it, about the size of what goes to your refrigerator for your ice maker, and it's actually pumped in with a real fine mist, and then the fan itself actually blows it out and actually helps keep things cool as the water evaporates. As far as the microscopic particles of the water evaporate, it actually cools things down. Ouch. Yeah, Alan, these two get brutal with each other. You almost wouldn't even recognize that they're actually friends sometimes, the way they pick at each other. The kiddo sent me a message here. Hang on. Come on, kid. There we go. One more module, guys, then we actually start the real assembly. Keep still. Wow. Going crazy out there, guys. Yes, Bad Cat. I'm going to have to put you in timeout. There we go. Ah, there's that part. It's got a little bit of a burr on it. Can't burn anything up yet, huh? Well, that's a positive. Do. Let me get this first one going here, guys, and I'll turn it around the other direction. Just want to see if I can. I think I laid this out for these to be turned the other direction. So I'm not sure. Yeah. That's not going to give me the room that I need on the back. Okay. So I was trying to figure out, I couldn't remember which way that, if I could do that or not. So start down here because this is the back side. You're going to take yours in. Hello, Squirrel. How's it going, buddy? Guess you and Harvey are having a good weekend coming up. All the festivities. Definitely happy Independence Day to you guys as well. once it's all set, I'll go back and I'll tighten these all up.
Oh, then it'd totally be worth it just to shoot that one time.
Oh, you got three to do it, and he got you taken care of? Awesome. I didn't take your radio. Well, this is only half of them, but the other half will go on the other side. But they'll all fit in there. Yeah, I'm building this essentially the same way I built my supply. I built one this way about 3 years ago or so, and I actually on the large supplies like this, I've actually gotten to the point where I kind of like mounting them to the side of the case. As far as that goes, I've never actually had to build anything bigger than 1,000 amp power supply, so I haven't had to get too creative outside of what I've already been doing to actually get these all taken care of. Yeah, I really enjoy doing this stuff, guys, but working the 12-hour shifts, 12 days a week, it takes a toll on my time out here. So I don't do near what I used to out here. Would like to, but I gotta make a living too. Yeah, this is actually a pretty good sized case that I'm using, so get this side done here, and I'll grab one of the other projects that I've got coming up. See what you guys think. All right, well, there's half of them mounted. All right, Fat Cat, you take care, buddy. We'll see you later. All right.
You want to make a run to Seymour? You want something?
All righty. I've got this all taped up. The reason why is because this is actually an anodized faceplate. This is for a 400 amp power supply. Yeah, you can unplug that. So this and this, which is the bottom. This is the bottom. This is the faceplate. It's going to look like a big black radio, but it's a 300 amp power supply, and this will be for sale once I get it all put together. So thought I'd just throw that at you guys for just a short, like I said, just another upcoming project. This one, I don't actually have a buyer for it as of yet, but I ordered the case because I figured there's enough people out there that have got the big black radios that they run for a base, and why not go ahead and build a power supply to kind of match that. So special ordered this case just for that purpose. One is left, this one is the right. Okay. I'll actually have to look that up. If you are interested, let me know. I'm trying to remember what the cost of that is. But it is, I mean, it is going to be kind of salty just because of what it is, but shoot, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember. It is going to be about $50 to $75 more than a normal 300 amp power supply would be from me. And the only reason why is because of the case that it's actually going to be in. You know, the case actually cost me about, I know, roughly about $50 more to special order it, but I figured that there's enough people out there that love matching pieces of equipment, and I thought that would be kind of a nice thing to actually build for somebody. Once I get that one done, I'm actually going to look at ordering a couple of more cases and seeing about building some small amplifiers that will also fit in those type of cases. So that's some of the stuff that's hopefully going to be going on later this year. Yeah, it definitely would match your radio. Like I said, once I get that one done, since I've already got a kind of an idea as far as on a layout that it's going to fit. They've got about 3 different sizes that are available to me, and I may go ahead and start building some bass amplifiers in those cases as well. I'm going to try to get with the manufacturer in regards to some of the different things. It'll have a meter in it, but as far as variable, it probably won't be a variable power supply. I mean, I know a lot of people do like the variable voltage, but when you start getting much over about 100 amp power supply, it's actually very difficult to start controlling, controlling multiple modules like that you're actually raising and lowering the voltage rate. That's the reason why I really strongly try to talk people out of it. Like I said, a 100 amp power supply I can definitely understand because I've got one myself, that I use, but I use it for the test purposes. So that's part of the reason why I do what I do with it. But with what I've played with and seen as far as come in for repairs, when you start getting up to a 2, 3, 4, 5, 600 amp power supply, and you're trying to variable the voltage, you've got so many. That's probably what I'll set it at. This one here, just for an example, which is the 600 amp, it's going to be preset at 14.5. If somebody wants one that's set up at a higher voltage, I can definitely set it up at a higher voltage. 14.5, I think, is pretty much an ideal point where it's going to be safe for basically anything you put on it. So But yeah, like I said, I've ran into multiple different issues over the last several years where, when you start getting into, like I said, really much more than 100 or 150 amp power supply. Like I said, you're trying to vary so many different modules that it becomes very unstable at that point because there's no true way to make sure everything's 100% correct. Yes, that should be more than enough to go ahead and run a 12 pill with no problem. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. I know we've been out here for a little over an hour and 45 minutes. We've still got another 8 modules yet to mount here. I'm going to go ahead and sign off with you guys, take a small lunch break, and enjoy some festivities this evening, and then be back out here tomorrow and work on this and some of the other projects that I got coming up. So, guys, I appreciate you popping in for the visit. Definitely enjoy each and every one of you. If you would, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. And happy 4th of July, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.